At my medical school graduation, my family ignored me for my sister's party. She's the one who makes us proud, was what I read in the family WhatsApp group while waiting for my name to be called, with 6 empty chairs reserved for them in the front row. I discovered through the photos they were posting live that they organized a gender reveal party for Ashley's second baby at the same time, complete with shrimp buffet and an $800 cake, in the event hall 2 blocks from campus. When my cousin sent me a video of them toasting with champagne saying, "To our family star," I replied with a photo of me receiving the valedictorian award and blocked everyone. 3 days later, when my mother showed up at my house asking me to examine a suspicious spot on her back, the knock came at 9 a.m. on Tuesday. I was still in my pajamas, finishing the last of the celebratory champagne my med school friends had given me, drinking it alone in my studio apartment, surrounded by moving boxes. My residency at Mass General started in 2 weeks, and I was packing up 4 years of late nights, panic attacks, and the kind of exhaustion that becomes your personality. I looked through the peephole. My mother stood there in her Lululemon leggings and designer sunglasses, holding a Starbucks cup. She'd driven from the suburbs into the city, found my address somehow, even though I'd never given it to her after moving here sophomore year. I opened the door but didn't step aside to let her in. "Dr. Morrison," I said, my voice flat. "That's how you address doctors, isn't it? Since you've never actually called me that." Her face crumpled in that way she'd perfected over the years, the expression that made everyone else rush to comfort her, that had trained my father and sister to prioritize her feelings above everything. "Becca, please, can we talk?" "About what?" "About how you spent $12,000 on Ashley's gender reveal party. I saw the invoice the caterer posted on Instagram, but couldn't be bothered to drive 2 blocks to watch your youngest daughter graduate as valedictorian from one of the best medical schools in the country." I kept my hand on the door, ready to close it. "Or maybe about the family group chat, where Dad said Ashley's marketing promotion was real success while I was just playing student? You blocked us." Her voice turned sharp. "You cut us off without even giving us a chance to explain." "Explain what? That blue confetti was more important than my medical degree?" She shifted her weight and something flickered across her face. Not guilt, but calculation. "I actually came because I need your help, as a doctor." She pulled up the back of her shirt, revealing a dark, irregular mole between her shoulder blades. "This appeared a few months ago. It's been growing. I'm worried it might be serious." The irony punched me in the stomach. My specialty, the one I'd chosen specifically for my residency starting in 2 weeks, was dermatology. I'd chosen it partly because my grandmother had died of melanoma when I was 12, and partly because I liked the puzzle-solving aspect of diagnosis. The mole on my mother's back had the classic ABCDE warning signs: asymmetry, border irregularity, color variation, diameter larger than a pencil eraser, evolution over time. It looked exactly like the stage 2 melanoma cases I'd studied. "Have you seen a doctor?" I asked, my voice professional now, detached. I wanted to wait. I was so busy with Ashley's party planning, and then she needed help with Ethan while Kevin was at a dental conference, and she stopped, maybe realizing how bad that sounded. "I'm seeing someone next week, but I wanted your opinion first. You're a doctor now." "I'm a doctor now," I repeated slowly. "Interesting. 3 days ago, I wasn't worth 2 hours of your time. Today, I'm qualified to examine potentially cancerous tissue." I stepped back, holding the door open. "Come in. Let me get my dermoscope." She walked into my apartment, her eyes scanning the small space, the secondhand furniture, the walls bare of family photos. I'd removed every picture of them when I blocked their numbers. She sat on my IKEA couch while I retrieved my medical bag from the bedroom. The examination took 5 minutes. Under magnification, the mole showed blue-white veil patterns and irregular streaking, textbook melanoma indicators. If it was what I suspected, she'd need a biopsy immediately, possibly wide excision surgery, lymph node evaluation. The 5-year survival rate for stage 2 was around 80%, depending on the depth of invasion. "Well?" she asked when I straightened up. Her voice was small now, frightened. "What do you think?" I could have said many things. I could have been professional and compassionate. Instead, I walked to my desk, pulled out my laptop, and brought up the Instagram post from Ashley's party, the one with 300+ likes, showing my parents laughing as pink confetti rained down, my father's arm around Ashley's shoulders, my mother kissing her cheek. "I think," I said, turning the laptop so she could see the screen, "that you need to make an appointment with a dermatologist immediately. This needs to be biopsied and staged. Depending on the results, You might need extensive surgery and possibly immunotherapy. I paused. I also think you should ask yourself why you're comfortable seeking my medical expertise now, when you couldn't be bothered to acknowledge my medical achievement 3 days ago. Becca. Dr. Morrison. I closed the laptop. In a professional context, that's my title. The title you couldn't take 2 hours to watch me receive. I walked to the door and opened it. I recommend Dr. Patricia Chen at Mass General. She's excellent. Tell her office you need an urgent appointment and mention the characteristics I identified. They'll get you in this week. You're not going to? You won't treat me yourself? I start my residency in dermatology in 2 weeks. Technically, I could see you then as a patient under supervision. I met her eyes, but I don't think you understand what you're asking. You want me to provide medical care after you demonstrated that my medical education was meaningless to you. You want me to be your doctor after spending $12,000 to celebrate your other daughter's pregnancy announcement instead of spending 2 hours to celebrate 4 years of my education and sacrifice. She stood, her face white. I'm your mother. Biologically, yes. But mothers show up. They support their children. They don't rank their children's achievements on Instagram captions. I gestured to the open door. Get the biopsy. If it's melanoma, treatment outcomes are significantly better with early intervention. You're lucky I examined you today instead of making you wait another few weeks. You're really going to turn me away? Your own mother? Something cold and clear settled over me. You turned away first? I'm just holding up a mirror. I paused. Oh, and Mom. That gender reveal party? You might want to keep the receipts. You're going to need documentation of where your money went when the medical bills start coming in. Melanoma treatment isn't cheap, even with good insurance. She left without another word. I closed the door, walked to my bathroom, and stared at my reflection in the mirror. The face looking back wasn't sad or angry. It was calculating. 4 years of medical school had taught me more than anatomy and pharmacology. It had taught me that knowledge is power, and that sometimes the most devastating thing you can do is simply refuse to save someone who never valued saving you. My phone buzzed. Ashley, calling from an unblocked number. Probably Dad's phone. I sent it to voicemail and poured another glass of champagne, this time not in sadness, but in contemplation. They needed me now. They just didn't know how much yet. The voicemail from Ashley was exactly what I expected. Becca, Mom is freaking out. She says you scared her about some mole thing. Can you please just call her back? This is ridiculous. We're family. Not an apology, not even acknowledgement of the graduation, just another demand that I fix something for them. I deleted it and went back to packing. 2 days later, my father called from his office number. One I hadn't blocked because I'd never programmed it in the first place. I answered on the 4th ring. Dr. Morrison speaking. Becca, this has gone far enough. His voice had that executive tone he used when closing insurance deals. Your mother got her biopsy results. It's melanoma, stage 2B. She needs surgery next week, and the oncologist wants to discuss treatment options. She's terrified, and you're acting like a child. I'm acting like a doctor, I corrected. I examined a patient, identified concerning pathology, referred her to a specialist, and maintained professional boundaries. That's exactly what medical school taught me to do. Professional boundaries? She's your mother, is she? I sat down at my kitchen table, opening my laptop. Because I've been reviewing family dynamics, Dad. It's interesting. There are 47 photos on the family Facebook page from the past year. Ashley appears in 43 of them. I appear in 4, and 3 of those are from events I wasn't even at. You just tagged me in group shots from holidays I didn't attend. I paused. There's extensive psychological research on parental favoritism. Would you like me to send you some articles? This isn't about favorites. Ashley has children. She needs more support. Ashley has a husband who's a dentist, a 6-figure marketing job, and apparently $12,000 of your money for gender reveal parties. I had $200,000 in student loans and ate ramen 4 nights a week for 4 years. My voice stayed level. But I'm not calling to debate parental resource allocation. Why are you calling? He was quiet for a moment. Your mother wants you to be at the appointment with the oncologist. She trusts your medical knowledge. You understand this stuff in ways we don't. Interesting. 3 weeks ago, Mom told Aunt Caroline that my medical degree was less practical than Ashley's marketing certification. I saw the text thread. Ashley screenshot it and sent it to her friends. One of them is in my med school class. Small world. I stood, walking to my window. Here's what's going to happen. Mom will have her surgery. If it's successful and the margins are clear, she'll need monitoring. If it's spread to lymph nodes, she'll need immunotherapy. Either way, she'll need a dermatologist she can trust for long-term follow-up. That's why she needs you. No, Dad, she needs a dermatologist. I'm starting my residency in 2 weeks. I'll be working 80-hour weeks under supervision. I won't have time to manage a family member's complex oncology case. I paused. But I could make time, for the right price. Price? You want us to pay you? Not money. I smiled at my reflection in the window. I want an apology. Public, specific, and posted in that family WhatsApp group you all thought I couldn't see. I want acknowledgement of what you missed and why it mattered. I want Ashley to explain why her gender reveal was more important than my graduation. I want a genuine recognition that you made a choice, and it was the wrong one. His laugh was bitter. You're holding your mother's health hostage for an apology? I'm not holding anything hostage. She has excellent doctors at Mass General. What I'm offering is something extra, my specific expertise, my time, my emotional labor of managing a parent's serious illness while starting the most demanding job of my life. That's not free, Dad. Not anymore. I sat back down. You have 48 hours to decide. After that, my residency starts, and I won't have bandwidth for family drama. Mom will be fine with her regular oncology team. She just won't have me. This is cruel, Becca. No, Dad. Cruel was posting our family star in a toast at Ashley's party while I was receiving highest honors at medical school graduation. Cruel was spending more on shrimp cocktail than you've spent on me in 4 years. What I'm doing is just setting boundaries. Medical school taught me those too. I hung up before he could respond. That night, Ashley called from her own number. I answered. Dr. Morrison. Jesus Christ, Becca. Drop the doctor act. Mom is crying every night. She's scared. Can't you just be human for 5 minutes? Her voice was sharp, annoyed, not worried. Annoyed. Tell me about your party, Ashley. Was the gender reveal cake good? I saw it was custom made. 4 tiers. That must have cost at least $800. What does that have to do with? Humor me. Was it good? She sighed. Yes, it was good. Lemon raspberry. Kevin's favorite. And the venue. Harbor View Event Hall. That's a beautiful space. Great view of the harbor. Must have been magical watching the sunset during your announcement. I pulled up the photos on my laptop. How many people attended? Looked like maybe 60, 58. Why are you... Did you know that before you sent the invitations for your party? Mom called me? I interrupted. April 15th. She called to ask if I'd be upset if they missed my graduation. Not if they could miss it. If I'd be upset. She'd already decided. She was just checking if I'd make a scene. Ashley was quiet. I told her it was fine. I said I understood that your family moment was important, and I'd send pictures from graduation. Do you know what she said? I didn't wait for an answer. She said, You're so mature, honey. This is why we know you'll be successful. You understand priorities. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. She was right. I do understand priorities. Yours are just different than mine now. Mom has cancer, Becca. Can you please just put aside whatever weird resentment thing you have going on? Weird resentment thing. I repeated the words slowly. Ashley, I graduated as valedictorian from one of the top medical schools in the country. The achievement rate for that is less than 1%. Your gender reveal party, while lovely, was something that approximately 300,000 American families did that same weekend. But somehow, in our family, your party was the headline event. And my once-in-a-lifetime achievement was the footnote. I paused. That's not weird resentment. That's pattern recognition. Another thing medical school teaches. So what, you're going to punish Mom because you feel overlooked? I'm not punishing anyone. I'm simply declining to provide free, extensive medical care to someone who has demonstrated I'm not a priority in her life. Mom has great doctors. She'll be fine. But you could make it easier for her. You could explain things in ways she'd understand, help her feel less scared. Could I? I interrupted. Ashley, 3 months ago, you posted on Instagram about how some people hide in school forever because they're scared of real life. That was about me, wasn't it? You tagged it with hashtags about professional students and adulting. Silence. I saw it. Several people sent it to me actually, asking if I was okay. I didn't respond because I was studying for my board exams. The ones I passed with scores in the 99th percentile, by the way. No one in the family asked how they went. I stood, pacing. So, when you say I could make things easier for Mom, what you mean is that I should? That it's my obligation. But obligations run both ways, Ashley. You can't ignore someone's accomplishments and then demand their expertise. She's our mother. Then act like her daughter, support her through her treatment. Go to appointments. Research melanoma. Learn about staging and immunotherapy protocols. Do the emotional labor. I paused. Or admit that what you actually want is for me to do all of that while you continue getting all the attention. Because that's the pattern, isn't it? You have the celebrations, I do the work. You're unbelievable. I'm a doctor, I said simply. I learned to value my time and knowledge. If Mom wants me involved in her care, the family owes me an apology and a genuine acknowledgement. If not, she has excellent physicians at Mass General. Those are the options. You have 36 hours left to decide. I hung up. Outside my window, Boston's evening lights glittered against the darkening sky. Tomorrow, I started orientation at Mass General. In 2 weeks, I'd begin the residency I'd sacrificed everything for. My phone buzzed with texts. Ashley in the family group chat I could still see from a mutual contacts screenshot. Becca is being cruel and vindictive. She's holding Mom's health hostage. This is who she really is. Dad's response, we'll figure this out without her. The Morrisons don't negotiate with emotional terrorism. Mom's response was just crying emojis. I poured a glass of wine and opened my email. Dr. Patricia Chen, the dermatologist I'd referred Mom to, had sent me a professional courtesy message. Physicians often do this when treating colleagues' family members. Mom's melanoma was 1 millimeter deep, Clark level full with ulceration present. The prognosis was good with proper treatment, but she'd need close monitoring for 5 years minimum. I composed a response thanking Dr. Chen for the update and noting that I'd be starting my residency in her department. I didn't mention that the patient was my mother. I didn't mention anything personal at all. 36 hours. Then they'd have to decide if their pride was worth more than my expertise. I was betting it wasn't. The deadline passed with no response from my family. I started my residency orientation at Mass General on June 15th as planned, immersing myself in the controlled chaos of hospital hierarchy, attending physicians, senior residents, interns, medical students, all moving in their designated orbits. Dr. Patricia Chen, my supervising physician, was brilliant and demanding. She didn't know I was connected to patient Linda Morrison scheduled for follow-up in her clinic. I didn't enlighten her. Week 2 of residency, I rotated through the melanoma clinic. Mom's name appeared on the schedule for Thursday at 2 p.m. Post-operative follow-up, pathology review, treatment planning. Dr. Chen asked if I wanted to observe. Interesting case, she said, reviewing the chart. Patient ignored concerning symptoms for months. Husband's an insurance executive, should have excellent coverage, but she delayed because of. What does it say here? She squinted at the intake notes. Family obligations? Daughter's party? I kept my expression neutral. What's the pathology? Breslow depth 2, 1 millimeters, ulceration present, 1 positive sentinel lymph node. We're recommending completion lymphadenectomy and adjuvant immunotherapy. She glanced at me. She'll need close monitoring. Compliance is going to be crucial. Unfortunately, her intake questionnaire shows minimal family support. Husband works full-time. Daughter lives locally, but has young children. No other children? I asked carefully. Dr. Chen flipped through the chart. Says here she has 2 daughters. The local one, Ashley, is listed as primary emergency contact. There's another daughter listed, Rebecca, but no contact information provided. Marked as estranged. She shook her head. Family dynamics always complicate medical care. The estranged daughter is apparently a physician. That could have been useful. Thursday arrived. I positioned myself in the clinic observation room with one-way glass, where residents review cases without patient awareness. Mom walked in with Dad, both looking diminished. She'd lost weight. Dad's hair seemed grayer. Dr. Chen was direct. Mrs. Morrison, the pathology shows the melanoma has spread to 1 lymph node. We need to remove additional nodes and start immunotherapy, pembrolizumab, every 3 weeks for a year. The side effects can be significant. Fatigue, rash, diarrhea, potential organ inflammation. You'll need someone to drive you to treatments and monitor for complications. What's the alternative? Dad asked. Observation only. But the recurrence risk within 5 years is approximately 40% without treatment. With treatment, we reduce that to about 20%. Dr. Chen pulled up scans on her computer. I know this is frightening. Do you have family support? Mom's voice was small. Our daughter Ashley will help. She's very involved. I watched Dad shift uncomfortably. He didn't contradict her, but his expression suggested otherwise. Good, Dr. Chen said. Because immunotherapy requires commitment. Missed doses significantly impact efficacy. You'll also need quarterly full-body skin checks. Melanoma survivors have increased risk of new primaries. Do you have a dermatologist you trust for long-term follow-up? I thought Aren't you? Mom looked confused. I'm a surgical oncologist. I'll manage your immunotherapy, but you need a dermatologist for ongoing surveillance. Someone you can see regularly who knows your case intimately. Dr. Chen made a note. I can refer you to several excellent physicians in the department. That's when Mom started crying. Not delicate tears, but harsh, frightened sobs. My daughter is a dermatologist. She's doing her residency here. But she won't. We're not speaking. Dr. Chen's expression shifted to surprise, then professional neutrality. I see. Well, perhaps this health crisis will provide an opportunity for reconciliation. Family often becomes a priority when faced with serious illness. She wanted an apology, Dad said bitterly. We missed her medical school graduation for a family event, and now she's punishing us. I stepped out of the observation room and walked directly into the exam room, my white coat crisp, my resident badge clearly visible. Dr. Morrison, I said, extending my hand to Dr. Chen. I'm early for our 3 p.m. consultation, but I heard my name mentioned. I can come back if this is a bad time. The color drained from Mom's face. Dad stood abruptly. Becca, Dr. Morrison, I corrected, my voice pleasant but firm. I turned to Dr. Chen. I apologize for the interruption. I wasn't aware this was the Morrison case. I can recuse myself from any involvement if there's a conflict of interest. Dr. Chen looked between us, understanding dawning. Dr. Morrison is one of our most promising residents, she said carefully. Mrs. Morrison, if you'd like her involved in your care, that could be arranged under appropriate supervision. But it would require, she paused, choosing words diplomatically, functional family communication. Mom reached toward me. Becca, please, I'm scared. I need you. I didn't take her hand. I made my terms clear 4 weeks ago. A public apology in the family group chat, specific acknowledgement of what was missed and why it mattered, and genuine recognition that you made a choice and it was the wrong one. I glanced at my watch. A gift from my med school friends, engraved with my graduation date. That deadline passed 2 weeks ago. I'm now establishing a new boundary. If you want me involved in your medical care, the apology happens first, complete and public. After that, we can discuss what involvement looks like. You're really going to make your mother beg while she has cancer? Dad's voice rose. No, Dad. I'm going to let her excellent oncology team provide standard of care treatment while maintaining professional boundaries. I turned to Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen, I recommend we continue Mrs. Morrison's care without my involvement. The emotional complexity would interfere with objective clinical judgment. I can suggest several outstanding dermatologists for her ongoing surveillance. Becca, please. Mom's voice broke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we missed your graduation. That's a start, I said calmly. Now post it in the family group chat, with specific details about why you missed it. Ashley's gender reveal party at Harborview Event Hall that cost $12,000. Include that you chose pink and blue confetti over watching your daughter graduate as valedictorian. Be specific. Be honest. Then we'll talk about what my involvement in your care might look like. Dad stood. This is extortion. No, I corrected. Extortion would be me refusing to provide information about your insurance coverage for immunotherapy, which, by the way, Dad, your plan through the agency has a 20% coinsurance on specialty drugs. Pembrolizumab costs about $12,000 per dose. Mom needs 17 doses. That's $40,000 out of pocket, approximately the cost of 3 gender reveal parties. I smiled. See? That would be me weaponizing professional knowledge. What I'm doing is simply declining to provide unpaid emotional labor to people who have demonstrated I'm not a priority. I walked out of the exam room, leaving them with Dr. Chen. In the hallway, my hands were shaking. Not from anger, from the cold, clear satisfaction of watching them realize their leverage had evaporated. That evening, my phone lit up with notifications. The family group chat, now visible again because Ashley had added me back without permission, exploded with messages. Mom. I'm sorry I missed your graduation, Becca. It was wrong. Ashley's party seemed important at the time, but I should have been there for you. You worked so hard. It was inadequate, vague, missing the specifics I'd required. But it was something. Ashley's response. Mom, you don't have to apologize. Becca is being manipulative. She knows you're vulnerable right now. Dad, this has gotten out of hand. Becca, your mother apologized. Please be reasonable. I typed one response. That's not the apology I asked for. I specified it needed to be public, specific, and acknowledge the actual choice you made. It seemed important at the time isn't accountability. It's minimization. Try again. Then I muted the chat and went back to studying immunotherapy protocols. If they wanted my expertise, they'd learn to value it properly. 3 days later, at 11 p.m. on a Sunday night, a new message appeared in the family chat from Mom's account, but the writing style was more articulate than her usual texts. Dad must have helped her compose it. On May 26th, we made a choice to attend Ashley's gender reveal party instead of Becca's medical school graduation from Boston University, where she was named valedictorian. We spent $12,000 on Ashley's party. Custom cake, catering for 58 people, venue rental at Harborview Event Hall. We didn't spend 2 hours to watch Becca receive the highest honor at one of the country's top medical schools. We posted pictures celebrating Ashley as our family star, while Becca sat in an auditorium with 6 empty seats reserved for family who never came. This was wrong. It demonstrated that we valued social celebration over genuine achievement, appearance over substance, and one daughter's moment over another daughter's milestone. Becca asked us to understand why this hurt, and we dismissed her feelings as oversensitivity. We were wrong. We are deeply sorry. The group chat went silent. 37 people read it. No one responded. I waited 4 hours, then typed, "Thank you for the apology. I accept it as a starting point. Here's what happens next. I'll be involved in Mom's care as a medical consultant only, not as emotional support. I'll attend key appointments, interpret results, and coordinate with Dr. Chen's team. I will not be available for 2 a.m. panic calls, daily reassurance, or hand-holding through every side effect. I will not make special accommodations in my residency schedule. This is the professional relationship you've earned. If you want more, that requires demonstrating changed behavior over time, months, not days." Dad responded, "That's fair, thank you." Ashley didn't respond at all. The real satisfaction came 2 weeks later when I did attend Mom's first immunotherapy infusion. She looked so small in the chair, IV line running into her arm, anxiety written across her face. Dad sat beside her, scrolling his phone. Ashley wasn't there. She'd texted something about Ethan having a fever. I walked in wearing my white coat, tablet in hand, professional and distant. "How are you feeling?" I asked Mom. "Scared," she admitted. "I've been reading about side effects online. Some of them sound terrible." "Stop reading online," I said firmly. "You're catastrophizing based on worst-case scenarios. Most patients tolerate pembrolizumab well. You might have fatigue, some rash, maybe some GI issues. We'll manage each symptom as it arises." I pulled up her chart on my tablet. "Your pre-treatment labs look good. Liver and kidney function normal. No contraindications. Will you—" She hesitated. "Will you check in with me after treatments, just to make sure I'm okay?" I looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman who'd driven past my graduation venue to attend a party 2 blocks away. Who'd posted celebration photos while I sat alone in my achievement. Who'd only valued my medical degree when she needed it. "I'll check your labs," I said. "I'll review your side effect profiles. I'll coordinate with Dr. Chen about any dose modifications needed. That's appropriate physician involvement." I paused. "Emotional reassurance and daily wellness checks are family responsibilities. Ashley can handle that. She's very involved, remember?" Mom's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. Dad looked up from his phone, jaw tight, but said nothing. As I left the infusion center, I felt something I hadn't expected. Not guilt, but power. They needed me now. They needed my knowledge, my expertise, my access to their medical information, and I was giving them exactly what they'd given me. The minimum necessary, professional but distant, present but not invested. It felt like perfect symmetry. Week 6 of Mom's treatment, Dr. Chen pulled me aside after morning rounds. "Your mother's side effects are escalating. Grade 2 colitis, significant fatigue, some concerning liver enzyme elevations. We may need to hold her next dose." She studied my face. "How's her home support?" "These complications require close monitoring." I'd been tracking Mom's case through the hospital system, technically reviewing as part of my residency education, but also because I knew the question was coming. Her husband works full days. Her older daughter has 2 children under 5 and lives 20 minutes away. Support is minimal. And you? I'm a first-year resident working 80-hour weeks. My involvement is clinical consultation only. I've been clear about those boundaries. Dr. Chen nodded slowly. "I respect that. But I need to tell you, doctor to doctor, patients with strong family support have significantly better outcomes in immunotherapy. Compliance, symptom management, psychological resilience. Your mother is struggling and the family dynamic isn't helping." She paused. "I'm not asking you to reconcile. That's not my business. I'm telling you that from a clinical standpoint, Her prognosis is being impacted by social factors you have the power to influence. Noted, I said professionally. Then, after a moment, what if there was a way to improve her support system without me sacrificing my boundaries? I'm listening. That evening, I called Ashley for the first time since the apology. She answered on the fifth ring, suspicious. What do you want? Mom's immunotherapy is causing complications. Dr. Chen is considering holding her treatment, which increases recurrence risk. I kept my tone clinical. She needs someone monitoring her symptoms daily, managing her medications, driving her to urgent appointments. Dad can't do it. He's at work. That leaves you. I have 2 kids, Becca. I can't just drop everything to play nurse. Then hire help. There are oncology nurses who do in-home care. About $2,000 a week. Her laugh was bitter. We don't have that kind of money just lying around. Really? I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been maintaining, a habit from years of tracking my own minimal budget. You spent $12,000 on your gender reveal party 7 weeks ago. Your Instagram shows a Pottery Barn Kids nursery renovation. Looks like about $8,000. Kevin posted photos from your vacation to Martha's Vineyard 3 weeks ago. That's what, $5,000 for a weekend? I paused. You have the money. You've just been spending it on lifestyle instead of necessities. Priorities, remember? Mom used that word a lot. This is different. Mom's health is serious. So was my education. Funny how seriousness only matters when it affects you directly. I heard Ethan crying in the background. Here's what's going to happen, Ashley. You're going to step up. You're going to reduce your social spending and redirect it to Mom's care. You're going to drive her to appointments, manage her medications, be present for her infusion reactions. You're going to do all the emotional labor you've been avoiding. And if I don't? Then Mom's treatment gets held, her cancer risk increases, and when anyone asks why she's not getting adequate support, I'll explain, as her consulting physician, that her family had resources but chose to spend them on home decor and vacations instead of healthcare. Dr. Chen has already documented inadequate home support in Mom's chart. That documentation affects everything from insurance coverage to hospice eligibility if things go badly. I let that sink in. You wanted to be the family star? Congratulations. The spotlight is on you now. Perform. She hung up on me. But 2 days later, when I checked Mom's chart, Ashley was listed as attending the next infusion appointment. She'd also scheduled a home health consultation. The immunotherapy got more brutal. Week 8, Mom developed grade 3 diarrhea, requiring hospitalization. I happened to be on call when she came through the ER, and I made sure I was the resident who did her initial assessment. Professional, thorough, emotionally distant. Where's Ashley? Mom asked, weak and dehydrated in the ER bay. She brought you in. She's in the waiting room with Dad. I hung IV fluids, started her on steroids for the colitis. You'll need to stay at least 48 hours, possibly longer if the diarrhea doesn't improve. Will you visit me while I'm admitted? If I'm on service for your unit, I'll see you during rounds. Otherwise, no. I have my own patients. I updated her medication list in the computer. Mom, you need to understand something. I'm providing medical care because that's my job. I'm good at it. You're getting excellent treatment. But I'm not your daughter in this hospital. I'm your doctor. There's a difference. Her eyes filled with tears. I know I hurt you. I know the apology wasn't enough. But I'm scared, Becca. I'm so scared. For a moment, just a flash, I felt the pull to comfort her, to be the daughter she needed. Then I remembered sitting in Symphony Hall, valedictorian medal around my neck, looking at 6 empty seats. I remembered the Instagram post of them toasting Ashley while I stood alone at my achievement. Fear is normal with cancer, I said, my voice kind but clinical. I recommend speaking with the hospital psychologist. They're excellent at helping patients process cancer-related anxiety. I'll put in a referral. I finished my notes. You're stable now. The ER team will get you admitted. I have other patients to see. I walked out before she could respond. That night, Ashley cornered me in the hospital cafeteria. I was grabbing dinner at 11 p.m. between shifts, exhausted and running on coffee. She slid into the seat across from me, her face tight with anger. Mom's in the hospital because of her cancer treatment, and you're treating her like a stranger. I'm treating her like a patient. There's a difference. I bit into my sandwich. She's our mother, Becca. She needs us. Both of us. She has you. You're very involved, remember? Family star. I took another bite. How's that working out? Are you enjoying the daily medication management? The 3 a.m. calls about diarrhea? The terror of watching someone you love suffer through toxic treatment? Because this is what I signed up for with medical school. This is what you all dismissed as playing student. It's horrible, Ashley admitted, her voice cracking. I had no idea how bad it was. How do you do this every day? Training, boundaries, a deep understanding that medicine is about clinical excellence, not emotional attachment. I finished my sandwich. You wanted me to be more involved? This is what my involvement looks like. I'm keeping Mom alive with evidence-based treatment protocols and careful monitoring. I'm just not holding her hand while I do it. That's your job. When did you become so cold? May 26th. I said simply. The day I graduated first in my class from medical school, and my family chose pink confetti over being present for it. That was an educational experience too. Just not the kind you get from textbooks. She left without another word. Mom's hospitalization stretched to 5 days. Her colitis improved but required postponing her next immunotherapy dose. Dr. Chen documented the delay, noted the marginal family support, and during a team meeting asked me directly, Dr. Morrison, given your personal connection, do you think this family has the resources to manage the rest of this treatment protocol? Because if not, we need to consider whether continuing aggressive therapy is appropriate. It was a loaded question. The entire oncology team was present. 3 attendings, 5 residents, medical students. They all knew now about the family dynamics, though not the specifics. The family has substantial financial resources, I said carefully. The patient's husband is an insurance executive. The older daughter has a dual-income household with discretionary spending on luxury items. They have the resources. Whether they're willing to redirect those resources from lifestyle to healthcare is a behavioral question, not a medical one. One of the senior residents, someone I respected, spoke up. But Dr. Morrison, you're the patient's daughter. You're a physician. Doesn't that create an obligation? I met his eyes. I'm a first-year resident. My obligation is to my patients during my assigned shifts, to my education, and to maintaining my own mental health so I can provide good care. Burning myself out to compensate for family members who have resources but won't use them doesn't serve anyone. I paused. The patient needs support. She has family members capable of providing it. My role is clinical consultation, which I'm fulfilling appropriately. Beyond that is enabling dysfunction. Dr. Chen nodded. Well said. We'll proceed with dose modification and continue to document the support issues. Mrs. Morrison's older daughter has hired home health nursing for 3 days a week. That should be adequate. After the meeting, the senior resident caught up with me in the hallway. That was impressive. Setting boundaries with family is one of the hardest things in medicine. Medical school taught me a lot, I said. Some of it was even in the curriculum. Week 12 of treatment, something shifted. I arrived for my morning rounds and found Ashley already in Mom's hospital room. Her 3rd admission for immunotherapy complications. Ashley looked terrible. Unwashed hair, dark circles under her eyes, wearing yesterday's clothes. I need help, she said when she saw me. No preamble, no excuses. I can't do this alone. Kevin is overwhelmed with his practice. Ethan is acting out because I'm never home. The new baby is due in 6 weeks. I'm drowning, Becca. I don't know how you manage this level of crisis every single day. I looked at my sister. Really looked at her. For the first time in years, maybe ever, she wasn't performing. She wasn't the golden child, the family star, the perfect daughter. She was just exhausted and scared. You're experiencing caregiver burnout, I said clinically. It's common in families managing cancer treatment. There are support groups. I can give you referrals. I don't want referrals. Her voice broke. I want my sister. Your sister sat alone at her medical school graduation. Your sister watched you spend more on a party than she had to live on for a year. Your sister asked for one thing, genuine acknowledgement and changed behavior, and got a grudging apology that Mom and Dad had to force you to accept. I kept my voice level. I'm here, Ashley. I'm monitoring Mom's care. I'm making sure she gets excellent treatment. But I'm not going to let you offload the consequences of your choices onto me. You wanted to be the priority? Congratulations. Now you understand what that actually costs. She stared at me, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. I'm really, truly sorry. Not just for the graduation, for all of it. For every time I was centered and you were sidelined. For every achievement of yours that got minimized because I needed attention. For not realizing until now what we put you through. It was the first real apology I'd received. Not performative, not forced, just honest. I sat down next to her, not touching, but present. Being sorry doesn't erase what happened, but it's a start. I pulled up Mom's chart on my tablet. Her next infusion is tomorrow. The colitis is managed, but she's still having fatigue and nausea. Here's what you need to watch for. For the next 20 minutes, I taught my sister how to be a caregiver. Not because they deserved it, but because Mom was my patient, and patients need family support to survive. As I stood to leave, Ashley grabbed my hand. Will you come to my baby's birth? Not as a doctor, as my sister. I looked down at our joined hands. Ask me again in 6 months, after you've sustained this new behavior, after you've proven this isn't just crisis-induced temporary change. I squeezed her hand once, then let go. Hope isn't the same as trust. Trust gets rebuilt with time. Then I walked out to see my other patients, the ones whose families had been there from the beginning. Mom finished her immunotherapy in December, 8 months after my graduation. The treatment had ravaged her. She'd lost 30 pounds, her hair had thinned, and she moved like someone decades older. But her scans were clear. No evidence of disease. Dr. Chen pulled me aside after the final infusion. Your mother did it. She made it through one of the toughest treatment protocols we have. Her outcomes are good. She paused. The family dynamic helped in the end. Your sister really stepped up. And your clinical oversight was invaluable, even from a distance. It's what she paid for, I said simply. The family wanted to celebrate Mom's last treatment, a small dinner at their house. Ashley texted me directly. Please come. We want you there. Not as Dr. Morrison, as Becca. I arrived at my parents' house in the suburbs on a cold Saturday evening in mid-December. The house looked the same as always. The manicured lawn now dusted with snow, the tasteful holiday decorations, the expensive cars in the driveway. But when I walked in, something felt different. The dining room table wasn't set for a celebration. It was covered in medical paperwork, pill organizers, appointment calendars. Ashley sat at the table organizing Mom's post-treatment surveillance schedule, her baby daughter sleeping in a bassinet beside her. She looked up when I entered, and her smile was genuine but tired. Hey, she said softly. Thanks for coming. Mom emerged from the kitchen, moving slowly, wearing a wig that almost looked natural. When she saw me, she stopped, her hand going to her chest. Becca, you came. I said I would. I hung up my coat. How are you feeling? Tired, grateful, alive. She moved toward me, hesitant, then wrapped her arms around me in a hug I didn't expect. I stood stiff for a moment, then, slowly, I hugged her back. Not like before. Not with the easy affection of a daughter who'd never been betrayed, but with the careful warmth of someone learning to rebuild. Dad came in from his study, and the four of us sat down to a simple dinner that Ashley had made. Nothing fancy, nothing Instagram-worthy. Just pasta and salad and garlic bread. I want to say something, Mom began, setting down her fork. These past 8 months have been the hardest of my life, not just because of the cancer, but because I finally understood what I put you through, Becca. Her voice was steady. You asked me once how I could watch you suffer and do nothing. That's what I did to you for years. Watched you achieve incredible things and treated them like they were nothing. Like you were nothing. Mom, Ashley started, but Mom held up her hand. Let me finish. She turned back to me. I justified it by telling myself that Ashley needed more support because she had children, because her life was more complicated. But the truth is, you were easier to ignore. You never demanded attention. You never made a fuss. And I took advantage of that. I failed you as a mother long before I missed your graduation. That was just the moment you finally stopped accepting it. The silence that followed was thick. Dad cleared his throat. I failed you too. I let my own resentments about education cloud my judgment. I dropped out of college to take over the family business when my father died. And I think part of me resented how easy your path seemed, but it wasn't easy. You worked yourself to exhaustion for years, and instead of being proud, I was dismissive. Ashley spoke next, her voice quiet. I was jealous. I know that sounds ridiculous. I was the favorite, right? But you had something I never had. Direction, purpose. You knew exactly what you wanted and you went after it without needing constant validation. I built my entire identity around being what Mom and Dad wanted me to be, and you just didn't care what they thought. That terrified me because it meant you were stronger than me. I sat with their words, feeling them settle into places that had been hollow for so long. I'm not going to pretend this fixes everything, I said finally. You can't erase years of being made to feel invisible with one dinner and some apologies. We know, Mom said quickly. We're not asking for that. We're just asking for a chance to do better, to show you that we learned something from this. Here's what I learned, I said, meeting each of their eyes in turn. I learned that I don't need your validation to know my worth. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is set boundaries that protect yourself, even when people call it cruel. I learned that being a doctor means understanding that not all wounds heal completely. Some just scar over, and the scars change you permanently. Dad's eyes were wet. So where does that leave us? It leaves us here, I said. At a table, having dinner, being honest with each other for maybe the first time ever. It leaves us in a relationship that looks different than before. Not parent and obedient child, but adults who share DNA and history and who are deciding, actively, to try to be family. I paused. But that decision gets made every day, not just once. And if you slip back into old patterns, I won't give you another 8 months to figure it out. I'll just walk away. That's fair, Mom said, nodding. More than fair. We finished dinner talking about safe topics. Ashley's kids, Dad's business, my residency. When I stood to leave around 9, Ashley walked me to the door while Mom and Dad cleaned up. The baby's name is Rebecca, Ashley said quietly. We call her Becca for short. Kevin wanted to honor you. I hope that's okay. I looked down at the sleeping infant in the bassinet, her tiny face peaceful. It's okay. Just make sure she knows she doesn't have to compete for your attention. Make sure she knows all her achievements matter, not just the ones that look good on Instagram. Ashley's hand went to her daughter's head, protective. I will. I promise. 2 weeks later, I passed by Harborview Event Hall on my way to the hospital, the same venue where Ashley's gender reveal party had happened. A banner advertised upcoming events. I stopped my car, sat there looking at it, and realized I didn't feel anger anymore. Just a distant recognition that it had happened, that it had hurt, and that I'd survived it. My phone buzzed, a text from the family group chat. Still active now, but different, quieter. Mom, 3-month scan scheduled for March 15th. Would you come with me? Me, yes, I'll check my schedule and request that day off. Ashley, I'll be there too. Dad. Thank you, Becca, for everything. I put my phone down and drove to the hospital, where my real family waited. My patients, my colleagues, the community I'd built from competence and care rather than obligation and guilt. That night, during a quiet moment in the residence lounge, Tyler, a fellow resident I'd been casually dating, asked me about my family. We'd been seeing each other for a few months, and he knew the broad strokes but not the details. My family is complicated, I said. They hurt me badly. I hurt them back by withholding help when they needed it, and now we're all trying to figure out if the damage can be repaired or if we just learn to exist with the scars. Do you regret it? He asked. Making them apologize, keeping your distance during your mom's treatment? I thought about it carefully. No, I regret that it was necessary. I regret that they made choices that forced me to protect myself so aggressively. But the boundaries I set, those saved me. They taught my family that I have value, that my expertise has worth, and that love without respect is just control with better marketing. That's pretty profound for 2 a.m. hospital philosophy, I smiled. Medical school teaches you a lot. Some of it's even in the textbooks. Spring arrived with Mom's clear 3-month scan and an unexpected phone call from Harvard Medical School. They wanted me to present at a conference on family dynamics in medical treatment, a case study on boundaries, physician-patient relationships, and the complications of treating family members. I accepted. The presentation happened in April, almost a year after my graduation. Mom, Dad, and Ashley sat in the audience, along with Dr. Chen and several of my colleagues. I stood at the podium in a conference room that held 200 physicians, and I told our story. Clinically, professionally, but honestly. When we talk about physician boundaries with family members, we often focus on the medical ethics, I began, but we rarely discuss the emotional calculus. What happens when the people who should support you have consistently demonstrated that they don't value your expertise until they need it? What happens when treating a family member means subsidizing their continued disrespect of your professional identity? I walked them through the timeline. The graduation, the gender reveal party, the confrontation, Mom's diagnosis, my terms for involvement. I showed them the data, Mom's treatment outcomes, Ashley's documented caregiver burnout, the family therapy sessions they'd started attending at my requirement. The outcome was successful, I concluded. My mother is cancer-free. My family learned to value what they'd dismissed, but the cost was high. A year of fractured relationships, a cancer diagnosis used as leverage for behavioral change, and permanent alterations to family dynamics. I paused. So I ask you, was it worth it? Is protecting your professional boundaries worth risking familial bonds? My answer is yes, Because without boundaries, you don't have relationships. You have exploitation with a family label. The applause was thoughtful, professional. During the Q&A, a senior physician in the back raised his hand. Dr. Morrison, do you feel you used your mother's illness to punish your family? No, I said clearly. I used my mother's illness to teach my family what they should have learned years earlier. That expertise has value, that relationships require mutual respect, and that needing someone doesn't entitle you to ignore their boundaries until crisis makes them useful. I met his eyes. I didn't withhold care. I withheld emotional labor. There's a difference. After the presentation, Mom approached me in the hallway. That was hard to hear. Seeing our failures laid out so clinically. Medicine requires honesty, I said. So do healthy relationships. I know, she squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you. Not just as a doctor, as a person who knows her worth. It was the first time she'd said she was proud without qualifying it, without comparing it to Ashley's achievements, without any caveat or condition. Thank you, I said simply. That summer, I attended Ashley's daughter's first birthday party. Little Rebecca's celebration at their home, not some expensive venue. The decorations were homemade. The cake was from a grocery store. Ashley had invited 15 people, not 60. She'd learned something about priorities. During the party, as I watched my niece smash cake into her face with pure joy, Ashley sat down beside me. Do you think she'll resent me someday? The way you resented Mom and Dad? That depends, I said. Are you going to make her compete with her siblings for your attention? Are you going to value appearance over substance? Are you going to dismiss her achievements if they don't fit your vision of success? No, Ashley said firmly. I'm going to do better. I have to, because I saw what happens when you don't. And I never want my daughter to look at me the way you looked at Mom that day in the hospital. What way? Like you were examining a stranger. Like you'd surgically removed all emotional attachment and only clinical interest remained. She shuddered. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. More terrifying than Mom's cancer because it meant we'd lost you completely. You didn't lose me, I corrected. You just lost the version of me who accepted scraps and called it love. By October, Mom's 9-month scans remained clear. She'd gained back most of the weight she'd lost. Her hair had grown back in silvery gray that she wore natural, and she'd started volunteering at a cancer support center. She told me about a woman she was mentoring, another patient whose family had been dismissive of her illness. I told her what you told me, Mom said during one of our now monthly coffee meetings. A ritual we'd started, neutral territory, time-limited, but genuine. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do is teach people how to treat you, even if the lessons are painful. And what did she say? She said her daughter was a lawyer, and she'd been thinking about setting some boundaries around billable hours and family expectations. Mom smiled. I think you started something. People are talking about your Harvard presentation. It's circulating in cancer support groups. Good, I said. Maybe some families will learn before crisis forces the lesson. December arrived with my first anniversary as a resident and an unexpected gift. The department nominated me for a teaching award. Recognition for my work with medical students on professional boundaries and family dynamics in medicine. During the ceremony, Dr. Chen introduced me with words that meant more than she knew. Dr. Morrison has taught us all that compassion doesn't mean martyrdom, that boundaries aren't cruelty, and that sometimes the most healing thing a physician can do is teach patients and families to value expertise before demanding it. The award came with a small research grant. I used it to study long-term outcomes in cancer patients with strong versus weak family support systems, controlling for socioeconomic factors. The data was striking. It wasn't money that predicted outcomes. It was respect. Patients whose families valued their autonomy, supported their choices, and respected their treatment decisions had significantly better 5-year survival rates than patients whose families were present but controlling or dismissive. I published the findings the following spring, and the paper got picked up by mainstream media. Doctor finds respect heals better than money, the headlines read. My parents sent me the articles, pride evident in every text. On the 2-year anniversary of my graduation, the family gathered at a restaurant. My choice this time, a place I liked, not somewhere they'd picked. We raised glasses to Mom's continued health, to Ashley's growing family, to Dad's retirement plans, to Becca, Mom said, her voice clear and strong, who taught us that love isn't just showing up, it's showing up for the right reasons, valuing people before you need them, and having the courage to do better when you've done wrong. I looked around the table at these people who'd failed me, who'd learned from it, who were still learning. They weren't perfect. Neither was I. But we were honest now, and respect had replaced obligation. To family, I said. The one we choose to build every single day, with our actions instead of our words. We drank to that. And for the first time in years, maybe in my whole life, I felt like I was exactly where I belonged, not because they needed me, but because we'd all chosen each other with clear eyes and hard-won understanding. Later that night, walking to my car, Ashley caught up with me in the parking lot. "I never thanked you," she said, "for what you did. At the time, I thought you were being cruel. But you weren't. You were being honest. You showed me what our family had become, and you forced us to decide if we wanted to be better." "And do you?" I asked. "Want to be better?" "Every day," she said. "It's harder than I thought it would be. Catching myself before I center my own needs, making sure both my kids feel valued, actually listening instead of waiting to talk. But I'm trying. And when little Becca is older, I want to tell her about her namesake, about her aunt who was strong enough to demand what she deserved, even from family." I hugged my sister then, genuinely, the way I hadn't since we were children. Tell her she can be strong too, that she never has to accept being invisible, and that sometimes the people who love you need to be taught how to show it properly. 3 months later, I received a letter from the medical school. They wanted me to develop a formal curriculum on physician boundaries and family dynamics, a required course for all second-year medical students. The letter noted that my Harvard presentation had sparked conversations at medical schools across the country about the hidden emotional labor of treating family members and the importance of maintaining professional boundaries. I accepted the position. The first class I taught, I started with a simple question. What does your family expect from you as a future physician? And what will it cost you to meet those expectations? The students' answers revealed familiar patterns. Parents assuming free medical advice, siblings expecting priority appointments, families dismissing the years of training until they needed expertise. I saw myself in their faces, and I taught them what medical school had never explicitly taught me: that expertise has value, that boundaries aren't selfishness, and that sometimes the most healing thing you can do is say no until people learn to respect your yes. On May 26th, 3 years after my medical school graduation, I received an invitation to serve as keynote speaker for Boston University Medical School's commencement ceremony. The invitation noted that I would be the youngest physician ever to receive this honor. I called my parents first. "I'm speaking at a medical school graduation in 3 weeks. I'd like you to be there." "Of course," Mom said immediately. "We'll be in the front row." "Actually," I said, "I'd like you on stage, as my guests. I want to tell our story to those graduates. The real story, about how crisis can teach families to value what they dismissed, and how boundaries can heal relationships that seemed broken." There was silence. Then Dad's voice, shaky with emotion. "Are you sure? It's your moment." "No," I corrected. "It's our moment, all of us. The version we didn't get 3 years ago because you weren't ready to show up. But you're ready now, and I want to share that with 800 medical students who need to know that sometimes families can learn, can change, can become what they should have been from the start." The ceremony was everything my graduation hadn't been. My family sat on stage, present and proud. When I spoke about boundaries, respect, and the hard work of rebuilding trust, they nodded through tears. When I introduced them, my family, who learned to value my expertise before demanding it, who showed me that love requires more than biology, it requires choice. They stood and waved to the audience. Afterward, in the reception area, a young graduate approached me, her family trailing behind her. "Dr. Morrison, that speech. It was like you were telling my story. My parents didn't come to my white coat ceremony because they had a family reunion planned. They said there would be other ceremonies." I looked at her parents, saw the discomfort on their faces, the dawning realization that they'd made the same mistake mine had. "There won't be other first ceremonies," I told them gently but firmly. "There's only this one. And your daughter will remember who showed up and who didn't. You have a chance to do better going forward. I suggest you take it." The father started to object, but the mother grabbed his arm. "She's right," the mother said quietly. "We need to do better." I turned back to the graduate. "Set your boundaries now. Teach them how to value you before crisis forces the lesson. Trust me, everyone ends up happier that way." She nodded, tears in her eyes, and I saw myself in her 3 years ago. But I also saw the difference. She had the roadmap now. She didn't have to learn these lessons through trauma. She could learn them through choice. That night, my family took me to dinner, not to celebrate them, but to celebrate me. No competing events, no divided attention, just focused presence. Mom gave me a gift, a shadow box containing my medical school graduation program, a photo of me receiving my valedictorian medal, and a handwritten note that said, "We weren't there for your first graduation. We'll never miss another milestone. Love, Mom." I hung it in my apartment that night, not as a reminder of their failure, but as evidence of their choice to change. 4 years after that graduation day, I'm now in my 3rd year of residency. Mom's cancer remains in remission. Ashley and I have coffee every other week. Dad sends me articles about medical research, actually reading them before forwarding, actually interested in my work beyond its utility to him. We're not the family we were. We're better. Built on honesty instead of hierarchy, respect instead of obligation, choices instead of duty. And when people ask me if I regret making my family apologize, if I regret withholding my help until they learn to value it, I tell them the truth. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. Because the family I have now, imperfect, still learning, but genuinely trying, is worth so much more than the family I would have kept by accepting scraps and calling them love. They lost their convenient, invisible daughter. They gained one who knows her worth. And that's a trade I'd make again in a heartbeat.